This was a game I wasn't going to include in my little series going over Resident Evil. I knew the game existed for a while, but I just assumed it was a spin-off that had little relevance towards the main plot. That wasn't until my pal Dylan told me it has plot points that go on to be important to even the recent Resident Evil 9, so I figured before we move on to 6, or before I do 6 and cover 7, depending on how I recorded, I figured let's go back and see if Code Veronica stands by the original trilogy in terms of its quality. And as a fun side note, the literal day I started recording footage for this, the remake titled just Resident Evil Veronica got announced, so that's a fun little coincidence. I'll be discussing Code Veronica X, which is the improved re-release on PS2. The game takes place a couple months after 2 and 3, with Claire still on the hunt for Chris after the events of Resident Evil 2. She's managed to piss off some corporation in the process, and after a sick action sequence, she ends up in gay baby jail, which lasts of all of 2 seconds since a wounded guard lets her out and informs Claire that there's been a hostile takeover, and in the next room over, Claire gets jumped in a graveyard by, of course, zombies. And I'm not knocking her being caught off guard or scared of them, right? Especially with no weapons to hand. But it's not like she hasn't dealt with these before. Surely she can, like, give the ones that are crawling a kick upside the head or something. But once you escape, you're finally given a pistol and introduced to this red-headed kid named Steve, who I cannot place his accent for the life of me. I think Canadian with how he says sorry, but anyway, I kind of instantly hated him, and I can tell he's gonna be a really fucking annoying side character. Gameplay-wise, we're dealing with the gameplay style of the classic pre-Resi 4 style of controls, tank controls. Although they do feel like they have the most freedom of movement of the tank control games, but I'm unsure if that's due to the game design, or me being more comfortable with this particular style. We've also got limited ink ribbon saves and the 8 item slot setup, with Claire's lighter as a permanent item independent of the classic item spaces.
You'll just end up disappointed if you rely on others. Believe me, I know.
What was that all about?
You and me both, love. A problem I soon came to find myself in early on is having no way to pick up any essential items since I was stocked full, and as far as I'm aware there's no way to discard useless items unless the game prompts you to. I had to look it up, and yes, there are item boxes in this game, but they seem pretty hard to come by, especially early on. And literally as I was about to give up hope and resign myself to this being a knife-only run for the foreseeable future since I ran out of ammo and couldn't pick any more up, I found it. An item box in a place named the Palace. And this combined with the rather soothing save theme really makes this area feel like a true safe haven. This might actually be my favourite save theme in the series. It's maybe either that, 3 or 4. Progressing deeper into said palace, we're forced to watch a video of these 2 blonde kids ripping a bug's wings off and not understanding the concept of personal space. And yeah, this scene is pretty eerie. It honestly gives me big Rule of Rose energy. I know that came later, but shush. Steve yet again causes Claire issues, and we get introduced to this freak.
I am Alfred Ashford. Come.
What was that little squeal he did at the end there? I thought he was going to act as a pursuer type enemy with that introduction, but no, he just fucks off. After some more puzzling and exploring, in which I found an item pouch and a submarine so I can hold more stuff, which is cool, I found a giant worm. I don't know if it's the first official boss, but I just ran past it, and that's something that's going to be a recurring theme in this game. A lot of the big enemies you're not actually supposed to kill, you can just run past them. After a mini-boss with this stretchy arm guy, I somehow managed to win with just the pistol despite trying to get myself killed so I could grab more exploding arrows, which was kinda funny. You get to play as Steve for a brief section, making himself useful for the first time so far with submachine guns. He also has this really obnoxious habit that I really hate of saying something ominous and then crashing out whenever someone asks him a follow-up question. It's got the same energy as people who put oh, can't fucking deal, don't ask, on like social media, and then going, message me hon, when someone asks them what's wrong. The answer, as we quickly learn, is his mum got murked by Umbrella thanks to his dad doing a spot of insider trading, and this scene of him having to put down his zombie dad really could have worked if it wasn't for the DMC1 fill your dark soul with light-esque voice acting. Honestly, I think that's a bit of an insult to Devil May Cry 1 here. Once again, after some more exploring, you get jump scared with a video of those blonde kids, and I'm guessing Alfred is the guy, but that begs the question, who's the girl in the video? Well, that's one Alexia Ashford, and I gotta say, I like her design more than her brothers, but the pair still creep me out. Getting a real keep the bloodline pure vibe from them if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Ugh. It's time for some backtracking, and even though I could see it coming from a mile away, the bit with the body bag and the two zombies you fight make for some pretty effective horror. Plus, going back to the first guy you met and keeping your promise to get him medicine is very wholesome. You get the lockpick in exchange, which now becomes your permanent item instead of the lighter.
Thanks.
So luckily those suitcases that were just taking up space before now actually have some use. They usually hide some pretty nifty items. And progressing more, I found myself a grenade launcher, so that's nifty. Now here's someone I was not expecting to see. I honestly had no idea Wesker was in this game. But it's neat that this is where his inconsistent British accent, his virus powers, and his obsession over Chris seems to originate from.
Oh, how your brother will weep to see you die. What?
The switch up caught me off guard, fucking hell. That nearly made me spit out my tango when I was getting fudge. I thought I had an idea of where to go after this, initially thinking that I didn't fully explore the recently discovered basement, but I couldn't find any way to progress, so I got annoyed and gave up for a couple hours. I forgot to check the very obvious blinking computer because I'm a fucking idiot. Claire comes face to face with Alexia for the first time, and something I don't get with these cutscenes. Claire has a gun too, right? Like, canonically. Why do they always take them away from her in these cutscenes? Anyway, Steve interrupts, though he does get wounded, and we learn that the twins are, in fact, the same person, with Alfred wearing a wig when taking on the role of Alexia, which is a twist I genuinely did not see coming. Before Claire can meet back up with Steve though, she's cornered by a very Resi 1-esque tyrant. You can only give so much ground before you'll automatically lose via burning, so it's all about using the tiny bits of space for distance while still holding your ground. But after this brief encounter, everything seems to be in the clear for Claire and Steve, but Ashford isn't giving up that easily. Pursuing via jet and having a tyrant try to force itself onto the aircraft, and let me tell you, this boss was beyond aggravating. There are two ways to damage it, your weaponry obviously, but also a catapult that launches cargo with the monster, but it takes ages for the catapult to recharge, and with the combination of a cramped space and the boss's large body, quick strikes, and the option to insta-kill you if you're too close to the edge, it just makes for a real stinky time. But at the same time, I cannot tell you the overwhelming feeling of relief I had to see that fucker get launched out of the plane and blown into pieces.
My apologies, but I cannot let you escape now.
Alfred, you cross-dressing freak!
What?
Holy moly, that's a line that's not going to be showing up in the remake. I really like the music that's playing in this scene here, but it's not really fitting for Steve at all, since he's being a fucking creep and trying to smooch Claire while she's sleeping. Feels like a when popular figure I dislike actually does something to warrant me disliking them kind of moment. Their plane crashes into the Antarctic, ending the first part of the story. The pair is still alive, so I'm only half disappointed, and agreed to split up to try and find some help, so at least we don't have to put up with Steve for very long. They do mix up the enemy types here A little bit. You've got your normal zombies, of course, but you also have these giant mosquito bat things. Fair fucks love, that would be my reaction too. And to my extreme annoyance, I'm pretty sure I soft-locked myself out of getting the assault rifle that's in the weapons room. Steve once again fucks up big time and lets toxic gas leak into the room he and Claire are in because he's too busy looking at her fucking neck. Mate, I think you need to go find a corner to have a tactical wank in to settle down or something, because pretty much all of the predicaments the pair get into are due to him having, like, a cheeky goon on the brain. He does redeem himself a little bit by lighting up Ashford so he can get his sniper rifle, just in time to fight the BDSM dude, complete with spider legs jutting out of his back. His actual name is Nosferatu, and he is Alexia and Alfred's father, Alexander Ashford. And he's been here for, I think, 15 years? He's been here a long-ass time. And the cartoon slap sound effect here really got me. Played out exactly like this. This fight is miles better than the Tyrant one in my opinion. The aim is to use the sniper rifle to shoot it in the heart, which will stun it, giving you time to back off a bit so it can't slap you off the platform. The random poison spurts are a bit of a pain though, but overall it's definitely the best fight so far. Claire and Steve escape via snowmobile, and we get confirmation that the little cockroach that is Ashford is still alive, albeit just barely, managing to revive his sister, who we learned from in-game files supposedly died when Alfred was young, obviously being reanimated here via virus shenanigans. She immediately attacks, leaving the two protagonists' fate unknown, same with Ashford, though we saw him quote-unquote die like 3 times already, so I'm assuming he's fine. The game cuts to Chris Redfield, of all people, on the lookout for Claire, and I didn't expect he'd be playable. I had a feeling he was in the game, but I was under the impression this would be a Claire-only adventure. I'm fine with it, but part of me wonders why they didn't wait until you start to play as Chris for it to be part 2, as opposed to keeping the somewhat brief Antarctica section as all of part 1. Chris gets a turn on the worm. Yippee. You can beat it here, but since I only had the pistol, I chose to run around until the elevator showed up. I was initially a bit confused on the point of exploring the island as Chris, but thankfully it's not just going through all the same explored sections again. I remembered in the cutscene Alfred had used a tank, so figuring it would be active, I saw if it could be interacted with, and my curiosity was rewarded with an underground section unique to Chris. After some brief exploring, he walks in on a recording of Alexia singing, and I don't know, there's something about his just matter-of-fact reaction made me chuckle.
Chris, oh little fishy, come see my hook.
He's so gay, man, what do you mean? I was quite surprised that Wesker seemed panicked to see Alexia awake. I was under the impression that that's why he was skulking about the place to create trouble for Stars and see how things pan out. Something that is alarming me a little bit though. I keep getting ammo for weapons I don't have. Either I had them in Claire's inventory or I straight up missed them. Chris just has the pistol so far, so I think I've unintentionally put myself in a hard mode, so to speak. But thank fuck my pessimistic ass spoke way too soon, because it didn't take long after this for me to find other weapons like a shotgun. And I swear I'm starting to have a setup detector for these games, because I knew when I interacted with the shiny on the ground, something spooky was going to jump out and go boo. And wouldn't you know it, it's the hunters, who seem easier to deal with than in Resident Evil 1. You've also got these scanners to deal with that summon hunters to the area when it's set off, which given these sometimes awkward movement can be tricky to avoid. Wesker and Chris get their little reunion, oh isn't that nice, where we learned that Wesker's been hired to retrieve Alexia, explaining why he's here and why the island fell under attack in the first place. Though even with his new powers, Chris manages to knock his fucking block off. Can on me! After some more exploring and backtracking, the medallions we used to get the plane for Claire opened up a secret passageway for Chris in that picture/diorama room. We finally enter the room where the emblem we needed to advance ended up in, but this giant electric spewing blob is blocking the way. You can kill it here, but I found it to be such a pain to land hits on since it swims out of camera view quick and only takes a few hits to electrocute you to death in the water. So I just decided to tank the damage, get what we needed, and leg it out of there. Speaking of leaving, Chris finds a plane. And just like that, he's in Antarctica continuing his search for his sister. A good portion of what Claire explored is now frozen over, and seeing the outline of that giant spider via the ice was another genuine effective bit of horror. I'm not even scared of spiders, and I had to do a double take to make sure that was what I was looking at, and yeah, when I realised it was just chilling out under the ice, it successfully creeped me out. The environmental design keeps getting stranger, and I mean that in the best way possible. Deeper inside the Antarctic base, not only is there another whole-ass mansion, but an underground cocoon altar thing. We're finally given more options in the weapons department, managing to pick up not only a magnum, but the assault rifle I initially missed. There's a few of the aforementioned areas unexplored, so I decided to look at the underground section first. There's a note about Queen Ants here, which I'm guessing connects to Alexia's powers, like she's the Ant Queen and everyone else are the common workers or something, because there's been that theming with the Ashfords, thinking themselves better than everyone and that they're a noble family and don't have to deal with the common folk. With one even calling her brother her inept but loyal soldier ant. Fucking harsh, no wonder he's mental. And speaking of, he just pops up from a cryogenic chamber, already long gone. But on a lighter note, in the mansion area, Chris and Claire finally reunite after he cuts her down from the webbing she's trapped in. Chris wants to leave, but Claire can't without also helping Steve, so she rests recovering from being poisoned while Chris soldiers on. Now finally able to operate the crane in the big main room where the spider is, Alexia monologues like a little freak and sets that giant spider under the ice onto you. This isn't a boss fight though, get the shining gem that fell off the corpse hooked up to the crane and just get out of there and it'll never bother you again. Chris gets back to his sister and heals her via a serum that he found where the two guns were, and Alexia once again comes out to chat shit to the pair, only for a giant tentacle to burst out through the wall and separate them, injuring Chris's leg. So we're back to controlling Claire, who unfortunately retains all damage she sustained back in the Nosferatu boss fight, but thankfully the game does show some mercy by immediately putting you in a safe room with a red and green herb for a full heal. Steve's passed out and trapped in some weird execution room. She tries to free him, but it's too late for him. Alexia's had her grubby little mitts on him and transformed him into this axe-wielding monster. Rip and piss, sucks to suck. Claire just barely manages to escape him, gets grabbed by tentacles again, but Steve's able to gain control of himself briefly, saving her as his final act.
Your brother kept his promise. I'm sorry, I cannot.
What? What are you saying?
I'm glad that I met you. I love you.
Meanwhile, Chris awkwardly spies on Wesker and Alexia having a bit of a spat. He wants a T. Veronica virus, she says nah, and shifts into another armoured form, which I'm honestly not that big on, just looks a bit boring. I was hoping she had one form more akin to an ant, given all the Queen Ant allegories. Wesker pulls off some Matrix shit and leaves Chris to die, and I mean it. Her grab is an instant kill, so maintaining distance against her is key. And I'm a bit disappointed that Wesker just kind of fucks off. It's absolutely in character you would just leave Chris to die, but him telling him that Chris is his best agent, I thought there was going to be some form of, like, team-up here. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or something like that. But, no. But it is what it is, I guess. Put her down to get the choker containing a jewel, and using all 3 jewels on the portrait will reveal the next section, and that Alexia is still alive. I spotted that game, 0 out of 10. Get out here. No remake for you. Chris activates the self-destruct sequence so that he and his sister can escape, but Alexia ain't letting him get away that easily, spitting her out to fight them in this honestly gross sequence. Like, I hate that fucking tentacle spit out. It's the... it's just creepy. I don't like it. You literally shoot at her once, and she takes on this even more disgusting form that I honestly vastly prefer. She's stuck in this stationary position, shooting out projectiles and little bugs that are admittedly a pain to deal with. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything, but shooting at a stomach thing definitely does deal damage, initiating a cutscene where she separates from the bottom half of her body and becomes airborne. You're given an infinite ammo weapon called the linear launcher, which is really fucking annoying to line your shot up with, because by the time you do have your shot lined up, she moves away and then attacks, which takes you out of the aim. And you have to set it up all over again. It's just a pain in the ass. But luckily it's a one-hit kill.
Chris!
Move.
That delivery was so funny. Why is he so rude? Wesker kidnaps Claire for all of 2 seconds before deciding it's not worth it. Wesker, mate, you don't need to kidnap family members to spend time with your boyfriend. Oh my god, he's such a tsundere. He absolutely mollywhops Chris, but gets incapacitated by the power of... Chris and Claire escape the exploding island via aircraft, ending Code Veronica X on Chris swearing to eliminate Umbrella completely. Code Veronica X likes to get in the way of itself. It has a lot of interesting ideas and good setup for horror, but the seemingly intentional tedium and being too obtuse for its own good in some of its sections means the player grows bored and annoyed rather than tense and scared. That being said, it is probably the mainline game most deserving of a remake out of the games that haven't so far. So what would I like to see in Resident Evil Veronica? Ashford and Alexia, more so the former, need to have more of a presence in-game. I think they would make for such an intimidating pursuer-type enemy. For example, say Claire's being chased when Alfred's in his sister's persona, and shooting his wig off like Mr. X's hat in RE2 causes him to run off or give you a chance to get the upper hand, something like that. Also, more things to separate Antarctica from the island would be cool, like enemies more unique to the environment. How cool would it be to have a walrus or polar bear human hybrid zombie? Like, that shit would be dope. Some actually dedicated boss fights against the big monsters would be sweet with their own fleshed out mechanics, because most of them in this game are just run away from. There's no real reason to fight them other than draining resources. Also Steve, make whatever changes you want to make to him. I could not stand him at all. Beating the main story does unlock Battle Game, which is just a horde mode akin to Mercenaries, so not really much to write home about there either. Overall, I feel similar about Code Veronica X as I do about Resident Evil 0. I enjoyed it well enough, but it is somewhat showing its age in a negative way, and the aforementioned issues I mentioned stopped me from liking it more than I feel like I could have. That being said, I'm really excited to see what updates the remake will add, as long as it takes cues from the remakes of 1, 2 and 4 rather than 3, but hey, that's Capcom swinging 3 for 1, so statistically, we should be in for a good game. Overall, I feel pretty optimistic about that. But I would like to know what your thoughts are on Code Veronica and the upcoming remake. Let me know, and please let me know what you think of this video too. Please like and share if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one.